Good evening, gentle viewers. It is Gen X Speaks, April 14th, 2026. Tonight, I'm kind of going to do an introspective video, and this is surrounding kind of what I believe as an American, the lies we were told about our country all along. Now, to give you a little bit of history on myself, I'm from Virginia in the United States. I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area. I was born in Alexandria, and I grew up in Manassas. Historically, two very important places in Virginia. I grew up around Virginia and U.S. history my entire life. It was we were kind of force fed it by default where I'm from. American history, essentially, and by default, British history. The thing about the United States that and I should go back a little bit. My father's side of the family has been in the American colonies since at least 1730. So prior to the Revolution, we were part of the British colonies of America when my family got here. In fact, I have, although not part of my main line, but on my grandmother's side, I actually do have a line that is of Italian ancestry, who was a winemaker for Thomas Jefferson. To give you an idea of the connection I have to the United States and America. But the thing about it is, including all these people I looked up to our entire lives, or my entire life, I think all of us have been kind of lied to about the purpose of the United States. And over time, it's come to me, the realization of that has actually come to me. Now, this is not to say that the British Empire were saints. Obviously, they were not saints. But the circumstances under which the United States broke from England and became the United States have been, our version of history. And this is just the reality of it that most Americans are never going to want to accept. And I understand that. But it is the reality of it. The reality is that our founding fathers, and if you think about it clearly, you will see this. Our founding fathers were white men of breeding. They were the aristocrats in the British colonies of, America. What they created when they broke off from England was a little piece of the same thing for themselves. So the bottom line is, as you all may or may not know in history, King George III was king when the United States declared independence. We were always brought up to vilify King George III. And the reality is our founding fathers broke under the guise that we wanted to create this better world where people are endowed by the rights of their creator, and that all men are created equal, which was never true. These were white men who owned slaves. Now, Britain, of course, at the time of the Revolution, still accepted slavery as acceptable. However, by 1807, it was outlawed by Britain. By 1807, in the United States, we fought a war over it and wasn't outlawed until 1865. Put simply, our founding fathers were aristocrats who simply didn't accept, or they did not want to accept, that a king was endowed by birth to rule. They wanted to ensure that they could have a king, they could elect a king of their choosing, someone like them who would continue their way of life. They didn't want a noble-born king who they would have to accept his whims. They wanted someone they could mold for themselves. And we got a president who was elected by white men of education. The intention was never what we were taught. The intention was never that everyone was created equal. That was the guise that was put forth so that the population would support them. This is just the reality of it. And look, I grew up within stone's throw of men like Washington. They're located, not obviously I wasn't alive at that time, but I'm saying, I grew up of their houses, Monticello, Mount Vernon, Montpelier, James Monroe, James Madison, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington. These were people that lived in my backyard at one time. So when we were taught these things in Virginia, we were taught that it was for everyone's good. It was for the good of mankind, essentially, I guess. But that was never the intention. It was a ruse. And we still see it today. We elect kings. We elect kings. With very few exceptions. And it's a hard pill to swallow when you come to this realization. And again, like I said, most Americans will never accept this realization about the United States. And it's saddening and it's disheartening when you realize it's true. Now, that doesn't mean we can't make things better. And I guess above all, in this video I'm putting out right now, I should make it very clear that we could take the ruse that they created and make it real. And we should take the idea that all men are created equal and make it real. That is what human beings should do with our time on this planet. But anyway, my time's running short. I just wanted to kind of put that out there tonight in light of all the insanity that's been going on. And I don't know. It's a downer, but it's also a beacon of hope. We can do it if we want to. We just have to want to. Y'all have a good night.